In a very, very powerful statement, you say, quote, "There has been a massive cover-up in regards to ET contact with our governments, and there has been much secrecy in regards to those who have been either abducted or contacted." And this is the key. You say, "This is because an invasion has already taken place, and they don't want us to know this."
I mean, there's so much to it, and we're dealing with, reptilians that ended up going underground, but then those coming from the Draco star system is a part of the enslavement of humanity. And so we're dealing with many different species, and the invasion part of it would be the manipulation, the mind control, the dark technologies that want to control nature, want to control humans. This mass manipulation where most people don't even recognize what's going on because it seems to be a part of just the human experience. And it's that level of manipulation and control that I would say is the invasion that has been in the works for thousands and thousands of years. When we hear about treaties, we very often only hear about treaties with Eisenhower, and in fact, the treaties originated with Roosevelt and also Hitler. And what they both encountered was the Palladians, and both were turned down by both the Nazis and our American government in favor of the Greys and their technology. For the Nazis, it seems that they got the mind control technology, and for the U.S. government, it seems it was more about metals and alloys and free energy and things that would just improve our life. But it wasn't until Project Paperclip, after the Second World War, got into, the American government that the mind control technology came. And that's where Montauk and other projects started to become infiltrated, and the technology, was used in somewhat of a negative way. And now it's just about, who's using these technologies for control. And I also feel that the Zionists and the Nazis are within this shadow government, and they're somewhat on the same team, kind of like sort of a chess game between themselves. But it was all planned out this way. This is the thing with what we're dealing with. This isn't, some sort of spontaneous thing and, oh, whoops, we made a deal and sold ourselves to the Greys. I mean, this was all strategically planned. And it connects with the Rockefellers and the Bilderbergs, so that these exchanges would happen. It was all a part of the strategy all along. From what I've understood, when we're dealing with, the Roswell crash and other crashes that took place, and, all the different technologies that were exchanged for abductions, and, using human genetics in order to help a dying race, which is what they said, they're a dying race and they need our assistance, and that they would only abduct a few. We have to look at my labs and the fact that the military, got involved and started to clone or create hybrids or create these automations that appear to be real abductions. And I think that's what ended up getting out of control, and why there are so many abduction scenarios is because of the military involvement. And so we have a choice right now whether we're going to turn into Greys by kind of giving ourselves over to these control agendas, whether it's through ignorance and not realizing it, or just kind of giving up and, not taking a stand, or we have the ability to be these advanced beings that we truly are. So it's just kind of like an energy game. It's a frequency battle, and it's all about, a battle for our consciousness. But these technologies and this mind control and this aerosol spraying and the chemtrails are all to just keep us locked into a dumbed down version of ourselves that can't access what we're truly made of. In this opportunity that we have during this shift time, during the stellar activation cycle, which is between 2012 and 2017, where most people will awaken, this is where they're doing extra spraying and doing more to keep us from becoming empowered. There's no real invasion that can happen when we've already been invaded. And so if they present scenarios that make it look like we're getting invaded for the first time, that's where they start to introduce the next level of their New World Order agenda. And when we deal with the economy and the potential collapse of the economy, more than likely it's a controlled collapse, and that's when we start to get chipped. And so nothing that we're going to get from the governments, I feel, is going to be truth, and that's why disclosure needs to come from us. But we're in a whole new generation now, and it's up to us to, expose all of this. We have highly advanced DNA, and this is part of the invasion. And part of the whole nature of all of this is that they don't want us to wake up to what we're truly made of, because it puts them in a position of not being able to be parasites anymore. And so the archons just feed on the fact that we think much less of ourselves than what we truly are. And the agendas that come from these archonic systems are to perpetuate these belief systems that keep us down. And they feed on us like parasites. They're mind parasites. They get in there and they exacerbate everything. And what I see for most of us is that the ripples of awakening are going to connect to so many people that have an open heart and an open mind, that it'll help them to remove themselves. And if the numbers are enough, which I think they will be, the transhuman agenda and that potential phantom Earth might not even actually happen. Really, the right thing to do is just do what you feel is the best thing. And if your intentions are in alignment with wanting the greatest good for yourself and for everybody else and for the planet, I don't think you can go wrong. And I just, really encourage people to do the same.